Hello, folks. Happy December 17th, Friday, 2010. And I just want to wish you a happy holiday and Christmas season. And I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you today as I was kind of reading my daily meditations. The last couple days I've been reading, being a former pastor, I've been reading in the parables in the New Testament, or I should say parables of Jesus from the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I've always loved parables, and there's one in particular where Jesus actually tells a parable. He kind of tells two stories to illustrate it, and it all has to do with counting the cost. And he said you wouldn't go to war if you were a great king without first gathering your generals and looking at your war chest to see if you had the number of troops and the right amount of money to go to battle or go to war with another nation. He also said you wouldn't build a huge castle or a huge house, hopefully without counting the cost, to see if you could follow that project through. You would count the cost. And he was talking about specifically counting the cost of following him as a disciple. But I want to apply this to your home-based business today. You need to count the cost of starting and maintaining a business. And it's just amazing to me, right here in my own backyard, we have our own modern-day parable. Not more than 5 miles away from where I live is a community that was started, it was purchased, the acreage to build this community was purchased 20 years ago in the early 90s. It was called, they named it Cascadia Development. There was a gentleman from Taiwan or Japan named Mr. Ko. He and his investors purchased 4,700 acres from the Weyerhaeuser Company. And the Weyerhaeuser Company, for those of you that may have heard, is a huge forestry company. So they purchased all this acreage with the vision of turning it into the community. He had a vision, Mr. Ko, to turn this into the community to end all communities. It was supposed to be the model community for the entire nation. It was 4,700 acres he purchased. Within this acreage was going to be this own self-contained city. 7-mile radius, over 6,000 to 10,000 homes starting at $500,000. They were going to have 3 golf courses, 7 schools, 5 public parks, and 600 acres alone of this 4,700 acres was going to be devoted to just industry and commercial use. So the idea was you could step out your door and you'd only have to drive maybe 4 or 5 miles at the most, and you could stay within this community and live there, buy all your groceries there, work there, eat there, never have to leave. It was going to be the community to end all communities for what I call the upper crust, or the upper class people. And you know, the irony of it all today is, of that 4,700 acres, 4 miles from my house, there's only one building that is erected there after all these years. And that building happens to be one $8 million schoolhouse that was initially built. It's been there about 3 years. And the reason I know about it is my granddaughter started kindergarten there this year. The only reason that they use this school, they're fortunate they have it, the school district that my granddaughter goes to around this area, they use it as a backup school because they're renovating other schools. There's a school about 1.5 miles from here that she was going to go to, but it's like 25 years old and they needed to renovate it. So they were fortunate that they have this school as a backup school. Otherwise, they wouldn't have any use for this school. Remember I talked earlier about counting the cost? Well, immediately, Mr. Ko's project ran into problems as he started to try and put this vision down from paper and make it reality. First of all, the cost overrun was $3 or $4 million to bring sewer and water into that area. He didn't count on that. He hadn't planned that correctly, or somebody hadn't. The second problem he had is most roads up here, we live on what's called a plateau. There's about 3 cities, Bonnie Lake, then you go to Buckley, and from there you go to a town called Enumclaw. They're all small towns. I guess Bonnie Lake is now around 20,000, used to be When I moved up here 20 years ago, it was like 5,000. And you you come off the freeway, which is about 5 or 6 miles away, and you come up a plateau and you hit these cities going east one right after another. Well, this little, well, not little, this 4,700 acre community called Cascadia was going to be a little bit southeast. And they wanted to make some roads. The second problem, they wanted to make roads that went north to south. Well, again, the costs were horrendous to do that. And finally, since they really started this in 10 years ago, they've had it change hands from developers, different developers that have come in to try and build the houses there. At least 3 times it's changed over hands because the developers just couldn't come up with the funds, and then we ran into the recession in 2008, 2009, and lo and behold, I read in the papers this summer that Cascadia was bankrupt. They'd filed for bankruptcy. And I believe it's a modern day parable in counting the cost. And in your home-based business, I think it's a good time of year. A lot of people plan at the end of the year what they'll do for the oncoming year. I think it's good to go in and count the cost. What will you do next year? Do you have a business plan? Have you written out the expenses that it's going to cost you to run that business? You know, you can't be in business for free. I think a lot of people think you can. Autoresponder might cost you $20 a month. Your office supplies, maybe $20 or $30 a month. And then other things, your memberships, so you can learn about doing business. Maybe that's $50 to $100 a month. And then what a lot of people don't take into account is, do you invest in yourself, in your own education? There was a survey done by a friend of mine last year. I think less than 5% of the people invest more than $50 a month in themselves to take themselves forward. I think the other thing you need besides a business plan, you need a mastermind to bounce this business plan upon, with. Maybe Mr. Coe didn't do that enough, and that's why Cascadia is bankrupt today. I don't know. Really don't know all the details of it. And so have a mastermind you can share your business plan with, and they can make suggestions. Be flexible. Don't be hard-headed. Be willing to change if you need to. And finally, when you get this thing going, maybe have an accountability partner you can check in with once a week to keep you on task. And do a little bit of work every day. Even if you have another job outside the home, even if you can work an hour or 2 a day, do that. Be consistent. Another mentor friend of mine, Joe Schroeder, said the biggest reason people fail in home-based business or MLM or network marketing is because their focus is broken by distraction. They get discouraged and they just quit working. And the second reason is they don't stay at it long enough. If you stay at it long enough, friend, and keep working every day, even if it's only for 2 hours someday, eventually, with a business plan, with counting the cost, your business will succeed. Just like the airplane taking flight takes a lot of power to get up the runway, but once it's airborne, the flying is easier and easier. And that's the way with business. It takes a lot of momentum sometimes at first, a lot of effort to get going, but don't give up. Once you get going with a good solid business plan of counting the cost, you can make your business fly. And here's to all of you out there, wishing you the best success in 2011. God bless you and make it a great holiday season. Thank you.